How are we doing today, boys and girls? This is Courier-Six coming at you from the Mojave Wastes, and as you can see here in my hands, I finally got back the Cimarron 1887 lever action 12 gauge. And I sent my original 1887 off to Cimarron back in, I want to say, September, October. About 5-6 months later, I finally called the company. I got a hold of someone who was very diligent. Previously named in one of my videos. He's requested to remain unnamed since. Fair enough. But I originally sent my first 1887 off to the warranty back to Cimarron, the manufacturer, and their independent gunsmith in Texas 5 or 6 months ago. As you can see here, this is just their bare bones model, a 20-inch barrel, nothing special. My original version is basically the same. But they finally sent one back to me. The individual who assisted me, he tried calling, finally got a hold of the gunsmith, and about 4 days after I first got a hold of him, he told me that the gunsmith could not fix the issue with my original shotgun, and I'll go ahead and demonstrate that now. So first off, you can see just how smooth and ready that action is. But you can see here that shotgun's lower receiver tang has very little engagement with the receiver tang screw, which is right here. It only has about maybe 1/4 of an inch of threading engaged, which for a shotgun that's able to take 2 3/4 inch shot shells, okay if you're shooting like light cowboy loads or birdshot, but if you want to fire double-aught buck through this thing, and I think this is where the issue came in with my original version of the 1887, is the bulk of what I was shooting through it was double-aught buck high brass like you see here, and unfortunately I don't know if this shotgun is built for that. I tried calling Cimarron, seeing what they said about it, and unfortunately, I didn't really get an answer. I've talked with them. I've talked with the media expert at Cimarron, the guy who handles their interviews, their articles, that sort of thing. And so, since I didn't get really a response back, this is the new version they sent me. I just picked it up from the FFL today. Thankfully, since I moved to Arizona, it's no longer a 10-day waiting period like it was in California. It's same-day take-home if you pass the background check. In this case, you can see that it is a pretty chonky stock, actually. If you feel this thing, it is very back-heavy because that stock is definitely a thicken. But it's actually decently finished. The fit is not as good as my first one was. Like you can see, if I get it up here, the wood for the stock is peaking a little above the tang. But again, you're talking, my shotgun was probably within the first 1,000 or so to roll off the line, which is very early production, and this one is the 241,000. I'm not sure when they started the production number, but this is in the 240,000s. So you're talking a massive production line difference. In my first post about this and my article that I wrote about it, I discussed the fact that this does not handle all 7 rounds that a usual 1887 would. But when I did load this when I got home, you can load 5 in the tube, you can drop 1 on the cartridge elevator, throw 1 in the chamber and close it up, but it is a very tight fit. I'm talking, if you were to go to the range and if you fired off that first round and then rack that bolt, you're probably going to have to really put your chest into it to get that first round to eject and load that next round on the cartridge elevator up. So it is possible, which is better than my first one where it was completely impossible. It would seize the whole gun up if you did that. But it's still something where you can kind of tell this wasn't intended for that purpose. Which is a issue I brought up in my article, because it's kind of what the 1887 is best known for outside of its media appearances. There is no traditional safety on this shotgun, like a crossbolt, a tang safety, anything like you would see on a modern Winchester. The safety that you have on this is this and a half-cock notch, which I really do like. It's kind of unique because it is an imported gun, and the fact that it has no safety, no modern manual safety, is kind of unusual. Especially when you look at the modern Winchesters, the modern Tauruses, that sort of thing, that all have the Hillary holes or the lawyer switches, stuff like that. The first one that I did own was very reliable. I haven't shot this one as of yet. I'll be doing that this weekend. But as it sits right now, I am just very happy to have this 1887 back with me, because this very much was one of my bucket guns, and now I can actually look into filming some Fallout content for you guys, because this is arguably my favorite gun in the whole Fallout New Vegas game. Sorry about that. Like I said, this is a very hefty chunk of steel for a gun, and the fact that in Fallout New Vegas, I understand the point of the lever-action shotgun in Fallout New Vegas. It is a midpoint between the hunting shotgun and the old caravan shotguns, that sort of thing. So it is kind of a midpoint between the 20 gauges you get in early game that do work and the much better 12 gauges you get later when you actually get to the Fallout New Vegas strip area and the Gunrunner's arsenal. But they did do it a bit dirty, making it 20 gauge, and I really think it should have been made 12 gauge in that game as like the starter 12 gauge, because it is very limited to 5 rounds. It's not as fast firing as the hunting shotgun, and it doesn't hold as much ammo as the riot shotgun. So I really do think they should have kept it as a 12 gauge in game. But otherwise, this is an absolutely fantastic real life rendition. You see a lot of guys online that are basically cutting the stock off here, making it a pistol grip with that full 20-inch long barrel. There are even some guys that are cutting that off and making this the Terminator 2 shotgun. And I do understand that, but for me, as much as I love Terminator 2, it's probably my favorite movie of all time. I can go back and rewatch that damn movie infinitely. I think there's something to say about keeping this in its original Old West factory condition, where it makes it a lot more practical. Granted, this is never going to be someone's idea of a first home defense shotgun. There's a reason why the Winchester Model 12, the Remington 870, the Mossberg 500, the I can never remember the Stevens equivalent of these. There's a reason why a bunch of these pump-action shotguns from the 1960s, 1950s up to today have become kind of the gold standard for home defense shotguns. And this one, it's a nice little fun gun, and this is something I was discussing with one of my old Army buddies, is he asked me, why the hell would you get that? What's the point? And I told him, not every gun needs to be practical. Not every gun needs to be like the most functional piece. This is just a fun gun, and it's something that I've always wanted since I was 8 years old, and I first saw Arnold Schwarzenegger flip-cocking it on the LA highway system, the LA culvert system. So, yes, I finally got this back from Cimarron, from their customer service representatives. I don't know if I'm going to baby this one just based off of my previous experiences. It would probably be a good idea, but I just can't justify babying a gun when it says it's able to handle all 2 3/4 inch shotgun shells, and it doesn't specify in the manual to only use low pressure or cowboy action only shells. If that's something that this is intended for, they should put that, and I maintain they should put that in the manual for this shotgun. But at this point, it looks like it's going to be as fun as my first one was. I'm hoping that this one's around a lot longer, and I'm going to try and prevent that same issue of this stock screw stripping out by putting on some red Loctite, because, sorry, my phone, but I don't see the reason why I would ever need to take the stock off of this. As I stated, I'm never going to convert this over to the Terminator dang, how many people are trying to text me today? Anyway, yeah, it's just something that this is going to be a fun gun for me, and I will probably start making some Fallout-based content with it, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. In the meanwhile, this has been Courier-Six coming at you from the Mojave Wastes, and remember, keep yourself warm during those nuclear winters, folks.